The first step in solving a problem is admitting that you have one. Unfortunately, our governments hide how politics works better for older Canadians than younger generations, like an Easter bunny gone bad. Every spring we see this problem at the highest level of policy when governments release their budgets. Budgets are how governments show off how they plan to spend taxpayer dollars. Budgets shape every action that governments take, which is why it's a huge problem when governments bury generational unfairness in this essential spending plan. Take the most recent federal budget. Do you know where the biggest investment went in it? I'll tell you. It went to old age security, which delivers income for retirees. The most recent budget delivered a whopping $85 billion of income support for retirees. That adds up to 60% of all of the deficit that Ottawa plans to add to our nation's credit card over the next 5 years. The $85 billion is also far larger than the investments that Ottawa talks about for affordable housing, childcare, fighting climate change. But these flashier new investments is probably what you heard more about in the budget speech and the news headlines, with little about old age security. That's because governments want to razzle-dazzle us with their announcements about affordable housing, childcare, a livable environment, and many other things that matter so much to younger generations. But they fail to put into context how much smaller these investments are by comparison with the new funding for elderly benefits, which are growing faster than any other part of the government budget. And they're adding more to our government debt, which our kids and grandchildren will need to pay off in the future. Instead, our governments bury how much we spend on old age security on a back page, 232 in table A1.6. But who reads that far into the budget? When the bad budget bunny hides this information, it's a huge problem, because everyday Canadians and the politicians who represent us don't get to learn how the budget actually works. It's already hard enough for younger Canadians to fend off the intergenerational virus that infects our social and economic systems, leaving us with higher housing costs, more student debt, lower earnings, and a climate crisis. If we want Canada to work for all generations, we need our governments to invest fairly in all generations and to collect revenue fairly. We can't make progress if our governments hide how budgets are working better for some generations than others. This transparency is not too much to ask for. The federal government already shows in its budgets how it distributes funding to address other inequities, like sexism and like income inequality. To be fair, the Trudeau government did begin working with Gen Squeeze in 2019 to begin reporting intergenerational impacts in their budgets.
What? I wanted something to eat.
But unfortunately, its new intergenerational analysis is a dud. It omits so much of the spending that goes to old age security, it delivers a distorted picture. Our budgets need to change, but that won't happen until budget reporting changes. Gen Squeeze is ready to work with governments to add the necessary transparency. So join us in telling our politicians, hey, next spring, we don't want another visit from the bad budget bunny. Showcase for us how our spending breaks down by age so that all voters can learn if we're getting a fair generational deal.